Hi, Dathan. I am going to be giving you some notes on your sermon, The Prize Worth Losing Everything For. Hey, start on page 2. The last sentence starts with Today we will explore. And I assume you're going to refer to the three concepts righteousness, identity, and purpose to expand on them. But you don't mention righteousness until page 4. I know you won't be reading it, but it's a little bit later, and then it's after you speak about identity. The third paragraph on page 2 is Paul talking about trust, salvation, or even something else like personal gratification, and not just what we are chasing after, but why. What do we think our goals and prizes save us from? And on page 3, Christ doesn't reward our resume. He rewards those who know him. It's a great introduction to identity. And I wasn't entirely clear on the purpose of your usage of the parable, the sheep and the goats. Both of them say, Lord, when did we see you hungry? Yet only the sheep get rewarded for this? Could you clarify this a little bit? How do we know the sheep weren't keeping score also? In the next paragraph, would a transition help? Like Paul explains how he was a goat before he met Jesus, and then continue why he thought all that was worthless. Is it only spiritual performance that's working against us? Are you assuming that everyone who is listening to you has that particular mindset? A lot of people are using performance now to mean a lot of different things, not just in the spiritual context. Um, what emotions led you to radically reorient your life? Are It sounds like this wasn't just a spur of the moment decision. And you speak about a discipleship recovery home. What is that? It sounds amazing, but I'm not sure what happens there. Um, Sometimes I think maybe we all need one. And what about your former life? What was your lucrative career and the pursuits you left behind? Because this could be a great parallel to what Paul experienced. And what did you replace those things with? Like the passage says, I think it's in Matthew, about someone that has cleaned out their house, kind of their mind, everything is cleaned up and everything is great. And they really have removed all of the things that were holding them back. No, and the spirits that were in there that were a problem were leaving. But they were circling around, and unfortunately, the person didn't replace those things with good, positive spiritual values. And as it happens, those spirits came back, no, and brought along their even worse friends and took up residence there because they could. On page 4, you do return to righteousness. Would a different verse from that passage work here, like verses 10 and 11, that illustrate just how much Paul wants to be like Jesus? Well, he knows that's not possible in this life, but it's the striving towards it that matters, right? And that involves a mind shift of great proportion. I love Eric Liddell's story. Besides his amazing accomplishments, I've always wondered what were the turning points in his life, like you said you did. When did he decide to radically orient his life? Was it a process? What did it look like? Are there some we can all take to start or sustain the process, like what you did? Paul's encouragement at the end of verse 12 becomes a place to start, and I like the way you connect it to Eric Liddell and his racing career. But there's another quote from the movie I remember, even though it isn't a direct quote from him. He said, I believe God made me for a purpose, but he also made me fast. And when I run, I feel his pleasure. And I think that's what gave him the impetus to keep moving, to keep striving for what would make God feel that pleasure. So it led him in that direction. And I think when we do kind of tap into those things, that it does give him pleasure and it also gives us encouragement to keep going in the way that he wants us to. Thanks. It was a great sermon. Thanks for letting me share.